A few weeks ago, I moved to a remote cabin in the woods. I thought it would help me escape the distractions of city life. I was in my early 30s, and I needed a change. The cabin felt perfect, quiet, and isolated. I hoped it would spark my creativity after weeks of burnout. I haven't stopped thinking about what happened there. At first, the setting was peaceful. I felt the heavy silence surround me. It felt soothing. I unpacked my things and set up my workspace in the loft. That evening, I took a walk by the pond. The sun dipped below the trees and everything felt nice and calm. But everything shifted on the second night. I started going through some old books I brought. They were filled with sketches and notes for inspiration. Suddenly, I heard a soft rustling sound. It caught me off guard. At first, I thought it was the wind outside. But then I heard it again, unmistakable. Pages turning. My heart raced. I glanced at the closed bookshelf in the corner. I thought, could it be a draft? But that didn't feel right. That night, I tried to shake it off. I clicked on my lap and focused on my sketches, but I couldn't concentrate. I kept looking over at the bookshelf, waiting to see something move. I told myself it was just the eerie stillness messing with my mind. I thought maybe I was tired. The next evening, I heard it again. This time, that knot deepened in my stomach. The sound was clearer, like someone flipping through the books, searching for something. I stood up and walked over to the shelves. I opened them, but the books were just as I had left them. I wanted to believe it was my imagination. I tried to convince myself I was being silly. As the nights passed, I noticed other things. The bookshelf seemed to shift slightly. And I found strange notes stuffed between the pages. They had vague drawings of the forest and scattered warnings written in a hurried hand. My skin prickled. Who wrote this? I hoped it wasn't a warning. Then, one morning, I saw the footprints leading away from my cabin. They weren't there the night before. I leaned in closer to examine them. They were large, deep impressions. I had no idea who they belonged to, or if I should be scared. Questions swirled in my mind. I kept telling myself it was all in my head, but something about the forest called to me. As I glanced back at the cabin, it felt different, almost threatening in the bright sunlight. Now, after everything, I'm not sure I ever uncovered the truth. My heart pounded. I stood there, torn between staying and leaving. It felt like I was being watched. Sometimes it was all too much. What was really happening around me? I guess I'll never know. There was something in those woods, and it wasn't finished with me yet.
I spent the day gathering my thoughts. The forest felt relentless, looming in the corners of my mind. I tried to push through by writing, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I resorted to pacing around the cabin, checking every window and door. Each creak of the floorboards echoed my anxiety. By late afternoon, I forced myself to head back to the pond. The water shimmered, but it didn't comfort me the way it used to. I noticed the footprints led in that direction too, deeper into the woods. The moss-covered paths looked almost inviting, but I knew better. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was waiting for me. I wanted to find answers, so I searched the surrounding area, hoping to find a clue. I noticed the trees seemed closer together, their branches forming a canopy that filtered the light. I turned over a few stones, searching for hidden messages from strangers, but I found nothing. Only silence wrapped itself around me, thick and suffocating. As I trekked deeper, the hairs on my arms stood up. I felt eyes on me. I glanced back at the cabin, a small speck of comfort behind me. But there was something more in the air, a shift, an unease that guided me toward an old, gnarled tree at the edge of the clearing. Something about the tree seemed wrong. A knot in its trunk formed a sort of pocket, and curiosity compelled me to reach in. My fingers brushed against something cold and smooth. I pulled it out. An old compass, rusted and heavy. The needle spun wildly, showing no direction. I stared at it, wondering how it could exist here, abandoned. I tucked the compass into my pocket, and a sudden chill swept over me. The atmosphere became electric, as if my actions had awakened something. I felt it shift behind me, just outside the tree line. My heart raced. This was no longer just an exploration. It felt like a warning. I took a cautious step back, but then I heard it. The sound of footsteps crunching leaves, much heavier than my own. Panic surged as I turned and bolted towards the cabin. I needed to get back, to feel safe again. The underbrush snapped underfoot as I raced, the sound chasing me like a predator. When I reached the cabin, I slammed the door and locked it tight. Leaning against it, I tried to catch my breath. My pulse hammered in my ears. I sensed the shift had begun. Something had awakened in the woods. That evening, I sat by the window, clutching the compass. The forest outside shrank into darkness, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the eyes were still watching. And then, just beyond the tree line, I saw movement. Shadows flickered, shifting in and out of focus. They felt alive, and they were coming closer. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed on the door. I froze, caught between fear and curiosity. My hands trembled as I approached. I knew. I had to see who or what was on the other side. As I approached the door, my mind raced. Who was out there? The knocking came again, louder. It felt demanding, almost impatient. I paused, my heart racing. Should I answer, or should I wait and hope it would go away? I spent a moment weighing my options, but curiosity won out. I needed to know. I leaned closer, placing my ear against the cold wood. Silence. Just the sound of my ragged breathing filled the air. Then I heard it again, soft footsteps retreating away from the door. My stomach dropped. I hesitated, then flung the door open. The porch was empty, the dark woods looming behind me. I stepped outside, scanning the area. The trees stood still, shadows blending into the night. The compass in my pocket felt heavy, as though it was pulling me in a direction. Suddenly, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves and sending a chill through me. I felt a strange compulsion to follow the sound. I took a shaky step toward the tree line, but then I saw it, a flash of movement. A figure slipped into the shadows, too quick to see clearly. "Hello?" I called out, my voice wavering. A part of me wanted to run, to lock myself back inside, but I stayed rooted to the spot. There was something about the figure that stirred a mix of fear and intrigue within me. No response came, and the night grew heavier around me. I stepped forward, pulling the compass from my pocket. The needle spun erratically, almost mocking me. I turned it in different directions, but it continued to dance wildly. Frustration seeped in. Then, without warning, I saw it again. A glimmer of white amongst the trees caught my eye. I squinted, trying to make sense of it. Part of me wanted to turn back, but my feet moved before I could think. I had to know what was out there. As I approached the edge of the woods, I saw the figure again, illuminated briefly by the moonlight. It looked like a woman, a long, flowing dress, her face turned away. She beckoned with a slow, deliberate motion. My heart raced. I felt something strange, a pull to follow her. I stepped into the underbrush, every instinct screaming at me to turn back. The branches scratched at my arms, but I pressed on, driven by both fear and a strange sense of fascination. The compass swung wildly in my grip, but I couldn't let go. I had to find out who she was. "Wait," I called, my voice echoing in the stillness. She paused, silhouetted against the trees, turning slowly toward me. And then everything went dark. I stumbled, disoriented, as the shadows swallowed me whole. The last thing I remember was the echo of her soft voice, a whisper carried by the wind. "Come home." I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. Before I was plunged into an eerie. I blinked, trying to adjust to the darkness surrounding me. My heart pounded wildly, an echo of panic in my chest. I couldn't feel the ground anymore, just a cold, smooth surface beneath me. It was as if I had been lifted from reality and dropped into an eerie limbo. "Hello?" I called out again, my voice trembling. It felt like the sound was swallowed immediately, leaving an unsettling silence behind. I pushed myself up, each movement careful as I fought to regain my bearings. My hands brushed against something wet. I recoiled, a rush of fear flooding my senses. Maybe I was dreaming. I tried to convince myself that I was still standing at the edge of the woods, that the woman in white hadn't truly beckoned me into this darkness. Just then, a low, muffled sound reached my ears. It felt familiar, like the rustling of fabric. I turned instinctively toward the sound, a jolt of adrenaline coursing through me. Is someone there? Silence hung thick in the air, thick as the fog that was beginning to roll in. Then I heard it again, a soft whisper, closer this time. It wasn't the woman from before. It was a different voice, one I couldn't recognize. "Come to me," it said, hollow and haunting. Desperation clawed at my throat. I flailed in the darkness, trying to find something solid to hold on to, but there was nothing. My hand searched blindly, wrapping around the nothingness. The compass, I remembered. It was still in my pocket. With shaking fingers, I pulled it out, the small device barely illuminating my surroundings. The needle continued to spin, frantic and chaotic. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, feeling the walls of this strange space closing in. Suddenly, I spotted a glimmer in the distance. It pulsed like a heartbeat, faint but persistent. Something deep inside urged me to move toward it. I stood, brushing off the cold grip of fear, and took a tentative step forward. As I approached, the glow intensified. It flickered like a dying star at the edge of a vast chasm. When I got close enough to see clearly, I gasped. It was a mirror, but not one reflecting a familiar face. Instead, it showed a distorted image of the woman in white, her eyes dark and endless. Trapped in its depths, there was a flicker of something, no, someone else. A small child, reaching out with desperate hands. My heart sank. The child's features were twisted, their expression a mix of fear and longing. "Help me," the child cried, their voice sounding as though it were coming from a deep, dark pool. I stumbled back, panic clawing at my throat. This wasn't just a random encounter. I realized then the woman was not calling me home. She was leading me into a trap. Every instinct told me to turn and run, but just as I pivoted, the ground beneath me quaked violently. Shadows formed into shapes, reaching out with claw-like fingers. I was no longer alone. "Don't go!" came the child's cry again, echoing in my ears. "You can't leave me!" I felt paralyzed, torn between the sinister shadows closing in and the desperate plea of the child. Then I noticed something shiny on the ground. A piece of jewelry, a pendant tightly wrapped in chains. I recognized it, the same pendant the woman wore. Gripping it hard, I forced myself to decide, find a way out or risk sealing my fate. Then I saw it, the way the shadows twisted closer, a singular darkness that would swallow me whole. I was running out of time. I took a deep breath, clutching the pendant tighter. The shadows were advancing, and each heartbeat echoed louder in my ears. "What do I do?" I whispered, more to myself than anyone else. Just then, the mirror flickered violently. The image of the woman twisted unnaturally, her features undulating like a wave. "Come closer," she called, her voice now filled with a chilling sweetness that clawed at my sanity. "You're so close to home." "Home?" I scoffed, my voice shaky. This wasn't home. My heart raced as I felt the cool breath of the shadows brush against my skin. The panic surged again, urging me to move. I launched myself away from the mirror, dodging the stretching tendrils of darkness. With no sense of direction, I just ran. The sound of my feet echoed like thunder as I rushed forward, desperately searching for a safe place in this never-ending void. But the shadows adapted, slithering across the ground like living creatures, pursuing me. I could hear their whispers now, a cacophony of voices merging together. "Stay, join us, don't leave." Ahead, another flicker caught my attention, another glint of light. This one was different, brighter. I stumbled toward it, hoping it would offer some escape. As I drew closer, I suddenly realized it wasn't a light at all. It was another mirror, but this one shattered. The pieces glimmered like stars scattered across the ground. I was surrounded by broken reflections. Each shard held a snapshot: my face, the woods, the child, the woman in white. Every fragment revealed a different moment, a different reality. "What is this?" I muttered, kneeling down to examine them. Each piece tugged at something deep inside me, trying to pull me in. I could see the despair in the child's eyes reflected back to me, hear the plea in their voice. "Help me!" echoed again, stronger now, intertwining with the growing whispers of the shadows. I pressed my palm against one of the shards. It felt alive, quivering under my touch. Suddenly, I was flooded with memories, images of laughter, sunlight filtering through trees, warmth. But they quickly twisted into darker images, a struggle, a scream, the cold touch of emptiness. "No!" I cried out, pulling my hand back. The shadows surged closer, as if my rejection ignited their hunger. I could feel them surrounding me. Their coldness seeped into my bones. Then something shifted. The child's face rippled in one of the shards, reflecting hope, a flicker of something that might save me. "Find the heart," came a soft, soothing voice, cutting through the chaos. "Break the chain." Heart? Chain? I had no time to question it. I scanned the area, looking for anything that resembled a heart or a chain. The shadows lunged forward, nearly engulfing me. My breaths grew shallow as fear clawed at my mind, urging me to succumb. That's when I saw it, a glowing piece of something among the shards. I dove towards it, reaching out instinctively. My fingers brushed against a smooth gemstone, shaped like a heart, but pulsating with energy. I felt a surge of strength filling me, igniting a spark of defiance. "Break the chain," the voice urged again. I gripped the heart tightly, determined to fight. Behind me, the shadows paused, hesitant. My courage surged, pooling in my chest like fire. "You have no power over me," I shouted. But as I stood, ready to make my stand, I heard a low growl behind me. It wasn't just the shadows anymore. Something else was there, something far worse than I had faced before. I turned slowly. The darkness transformed, revealing a figure, its eyes glowing with malice. My heart dropped, a chill creeping into my bones. "Too late," it rasped, the voice familiar and haunting. I froze, dread tightening my chest. I knew then that my fight was only just beginning. The figure stepped closer, its movements fluid and predatory. Panic surged through me like a tidal wave. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had seen that face before, or at least something about it felt hauntingly familiar. My breath quickened, and instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs felt like lead. "Do you remember?" it continued, a twisted smile spreading across its lips. "You were always curious, always looking for answers." There was something sinister in the way it spoke, as if it relished my fear. I gripped the glowing heart tighter, feeling the warmth radiate through my fingers. "Stay back!" I shouted, my voice shaking but defiant. The shadows hesitated, as if the heart's light pushed against them. "You think that tiny gem can save you?" the figure mocked, taking another step forward. "You've always been drawn to darkness." With a surge of desperation, I turned to the shattered shards around me. They felt like memories, whispers of my past, entwined with the shadows. "Break the chain," I repeated, but where? Suddenly, the ground beneath me trembled and cracks formed around the shards. The figure laughed, a sound that echoed through the void. "You cannot escape what is already inside you." I forced myself to focus on the heart in my hand. The warmth intensified, shimmering like the sun breaking through clouds after a storm. "This isn't who I am," I yelled, and with all my strength I hurled the heart towards the broken reflections, targeting the shard that depicted the child's face. The heart soared through the air, illuminating the pieces with pure light. Upon impact, a blinding flash erupted, causing the shadows to writhe in agony. The figure staggered back, shielding its eyes. Then I felt a tug at my essence, as if the shards were pulling me in. I resisted it, intent on breaking free from the darkness. "No more!" I screamed. "I won't be a part of this." But my resolve wavered as the shadows screeched and twisted into themselves, desperate to grasp their hold on me. I stumbled, almost losing my footing. Was I making things worse? The figure took advantage of my moment of weakness. "Every choice has its price. You'll join me," it hissed, launching forward with terrifying speed. In an instant, I remembered the child's plea, the hope reflected back at me. With a sudden burst of clarity, I shot my hand towards the center of the shards. "I break this cycle," I declared. As the heart shattered among the fragments, a force erupted from within me, radiating light that pushed the figure back. The enchantment of shadows struggled against the brilliance, causing a rift to form in the darkness. "Run," the voice whispered again, the urgency growing. But my feet felt glued to the ground. I could see it now, a tendril shooting straight towards me from the figure, aiming to ensnare me. Finally, my instincts kicked in. I turned and bolted through the chaos, weaving between the shards and dodging the shadows clawing at my heels. "Get away!" I shouted at the shadows, channeling every ounce of fear and anger into my legs. The darkness recoiled as I charged towards the growing rift. Just as I thought I might break free, the figure lunged, grasping my arm. I screamed as the coldness gripped me like ice, trying to pull me back into the void. "I won't let you go," it rasped, inching me closer to it. With a fierce determination, I yanked my arm away, feeling the heart's glow surge through me once again. Just then, I caught a glimpse of my own reflection in a nearby shard. The woman in white was there too, staring back at me with pleading eyes. "Find the heart," she echoed faintly. But now it felt different. This time it wasn't just about the gemstone. "Join me," the figure snarled, its eyes filled with rage. In that moment, I realized I had a choice to make. I felt the weight of my choice pressing down like a heavy blanket. In front of me loomed the figure, its eyes swirling with darkness and contempt. I could feel its anger emanating, but I also sensed a flicker of vulnerability beneath the surface. Maybe it wasn't just about taking me, but fearing my defiance. "Let me go," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "I don't belong here." The figure's face twisted in rage. "You're lying to yourself. You're part of this darkness." I stood my ground. The heart pulsed in my hand, supplying a constant stream of warmth that etched away at my fear. I could almost hear the woman in white guiding me, urging me to reach deeper, not just for the heart, but for the truth hidden in the shadows. I took a step back, breaking eye contact for a moment. That was when I noticed something strange. The shards were shifting, revealing new images, new memories. Each image flickered like a dream half remembered, drawing me in with a tantalizing pull. I caught glimpses of myself at different ages, laughing, crying, making mistakes. The child's face swirled past, and then suddenly I was standing on that hill again, looking at the stars with a sense of wonder. "Stop!" I yelled, fighting the pull. "I will not let you take me back." The figure growled, its tendrils writhing as it lunged forward again. I didn't have much time. There was still a sudden sense of urgency, an instinct telling me to search further. I tore my eyes away from the shards and turned to the rift, now pulsating with energy. I could feel the pull of both the light and darkness, an uncertain tug of war in my gut. I needed to find the heart, the true heart, whatever that meant. "If I'm a part of this darkness," I shouted, "then I'll also unearth the light within it." The figure laughed, a chuckle that made me shiver. "You believe you can hold both? You're a fool." A tendril shot out again, this time wrapping tightly around my ankle. But I remembered the warmth from earlier, the hope ignited by the child's face. "You don't know me!" I screamed, yanking my leg free with sheer determination. I had to keep moving forward. The rift felt like a doorway, but I had to leap through with purpose. I rushed toward it, forcing myself not to look back. The darkness was relentless. Shadows clawed at my clothes like desperate hands. But with each step, I forced the heart's glow to flare brighter. "I will break this!" Then I dove into the rift. Everything around me twisted into chaos, sudden colors, blinding light, an echo of that child's laughter, and then silence. I hit the ground hard on the other side, breathless and disoriented. The shadows weren't here, but I could still feel them lingering close. I opened my eyes, scanning my surroundings. Where was I now? That's when I saw it. A small wooden box resting on a stone pedestal nearby, glimmering faintly in the dim light. My heart raced. What could be inside? I crawled toward it, eager to uncover its secrets, but the sense of dread lingered, tethered to my mind. I opened the lid slowly. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, was another heart, not glowing, but dark and jagged. "Not again," I whispered. Was this another trap? I stared at the heart, disbelief flooding me. The jagged edges seemed to pulse with a life of their own, blackening the velvet underneath. I thought back to the glowing heart I had carried with me, the light that had guided me through the darkness. This one felt different, heavy with secrets I could barely begin to fathom. I picked it up cautiously, the cool surface sending a chill up my spine. As I held it in my hands, I felt a tug in my mind. Memories, dark and shadowy, began to surface. Faces twisted in pain, whispering voices craving release. It was overwhelming. I dropped it back into the box, breathing hard. "Why is this here?" I muttered to myself. "What do you want from me?" No answer came, just the echo of my own voice bouncing off the stone walls. My heart raced. I had escaped the figure, only to stumble upon this sinister gift. The rift behind me had closed, leaving no way back. I felt trapped once more. Suddenly, I heard a low, rasping sound behind me. My skin prickled with unease, and I turned. A shadow flickered at the edge of my vision. It crept closer, shifting like smoke. Panic flared in my chest. I was not alone. "Show yourself," I called, trying to sound brave, but my voice quivered. The shadow lingered for a moment, then coalesced into a shape not unlike the figure I had faced earlier. It wasn't the same, but it bore an unsettling resemblance. "I have been waiting for you," it said, its voice like gravel rubbing against stone. "You were drawn here for a reason." "Waiting for me? Why?" The figure moved closer, its eyes glittering with an unsettling light.
You found the heart, didn't you? The heart that craves acceptance. It is a bridge between light and dark. What does that mean? I stepped back instinctively, edging away from the stone pedestal. The dark figure extended a hand, as if inviting me into its embrace. Will you embrace your darkness? The question hung in the air, thick and suffocating. I felt the urge to retreat, but something anchored me in place. A part of me wanted to know more, wanted to understand why I had been chosen and what that heart held. But another part screamed to run, to escape this entity and the confusion it brought with it. No, I don't want any part of that, I shouted, my voice breaking the stillness. The heart in the box vibrated slightly, as if responding to my rejection. Denying will only consume you, the figure replied, its tone mocking. You have to decide. Are you ready to face all aspects of yourself? I shook my head, a swirl of dread and confusion rolling through me. I don't want to face anything. I just want to get back home. The shadow laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the chamber. Home is an illusion, it taunted. You'll find yourself lost forever unless you make the
Choice. Suddenly, the dark heart shimmered and images whirled around me. My past, my fears, everything I had tried to hide. I felt pulled between the truth this heart represented and the safety I craved. Choose, or you will be bound to this despair, the figure urged. The heart's truth will reveal what you really are. My breath hitched. I had to make a choice, but could I face what lay ahead? The shadows danced closer. I felt the weight of their expectation pressing down on me. I stood at the edge of understanding, teetering between light and darkness. It was time to decide. The air thickened with tension. My heart pounded in my chest. I couldn't act blindly. But the shadow's words sank in, challenging everything I thought I knew. Was there truly no way out without confronting my fears? Choose, it commanded again, a sharp edge to its voice. My mind raced. What would happen if I did? What if I chose to embrace the darkness? I glanced back at the heart. It gleamed with an eerie allure, tempting me to uncover its secrets. The memories that had stirred within me felt like a strange echo tugging at my thoughts. I had run from them for so long. A flicker of understanding began to form. The figure reached out again, its hand still extended, waiting. You seek comfort, but you cannot be whole without acknowledging this part of you. The heart longs for acceptance. I could feel the weight of its gaze on me, prodding me to make a choice. My throat tightened. What if I don't like what I find? Then you will learn. Ignorance is how the darkness thrives, but knowledge, even painful, will set you free. The shadows encircled me like a snake, whispering my fears, my childhood failures, moments of treachery, and the shame that stung deep within. Would facing them solve anything, or would it bury me deeper into despair? I took a deep breath. I could not let fear define me any longer. All right, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I'll face it, but I want to know what I'm getting into first. The figure smiled, a sickly grin that shivered down my spine. Wise. The heart awaits your decision. Will you reach for it? As I took a cautious step towards the heart, the ground trembled beneath me. The stones rumbled, a warning of what was to come. Be ready, for truth is not always gentle, the figure cautioned, retreating slightly into the shadows. With a lingering clash of apprehension and curiosity, I reached for the heart again. The moment my fingers brushed its surface, a shock ran through me, causing my breath to hitch. Images flooded my mind, vivid scenes of guilt and regret, moments I thought were buried. I stumbled back, cradling my head in my hands. "Stop, please," I gasped.
But the heart continued its onslaught, merciless in its revelations. Suddenly, the figure stepped forward, its shadow casting a wider net. Let go of your fears, and it will cease. Only by acknowledging can you find peace. Trembling, I thought I sensed the warmth of acceptance waiting for me, twisted in reflection. What if I can't face it all? I whispered, the weight of everything feeling heavier than ever. But before the figure could answer, another sound echoed through the chamber, a loud, resonant crack. The stone wall shuddered, dust falling from above. I glanced around, panic blooming anew in my chest. "Something is coming!" I shouted. The figure's eyes blazed with urgency. "You must choose now, embrace the truth or remain forever trapped." Before I could react, the shadows surged forward, and the heart glowed bright, blinding me. Just as the wall started to crumble, I screamed, "I choose! Just let me out!" And then everything went dark. I jolted awake, gasping for air, the weight of a cold sweat clinging to me. I blinked against the harsh light of morning filtering through the cabin windows, debris from my restless mind still swirling around me. The shadows that had chased me were gone, evaporated like morning fog. The only remnants of that entrapment were the pulsating memories of the heart. I pushed myself up, heart racing. Light poured into the room, making it feel warm and comforting. But where was I really? The glimmer of truth caught in the strands of my hair inspired both hope and uncertainty. The sun was bright, but behind my eyelids I still felt dark shadows lingering, waiting for the moment to pull me back in if I wasn't careful. I crouched on the floor, my fingers brushing against the old wooden planks. The compass lay nearby, the needle spinning ever so slightly, trembling against the morning light. Did I really return, or was I still trapped somewhere between the worlds? The cabin felt the same, but bore a new weight, an undercurrent of the truths I had faced embedded in my very bones. I stood, instinctively glancing outside. The forest looked that much deeper, an endless web of trees beckoning me back into its embrace. A chill rushed down my spine at the memories of the woman in white and that child's desperate call for help. Why was she waiting for me? What had I experienced that night, and what had I truly left behind? On some level, I understood now that the darkness wasn't just something outside of me. It was a part of me. As I packed my belongings, I felt the weight of choice, to return to the familiar and live, or to confront the lingering ties to the shadows that beckoned me to discover what was hidden beneath my fears. I locked the cabin door behind me and stepped onto the porch, surveying the forest. It looked alive, almost sentient, filled with whispers of memories waiting to be unveiled. I shook my head. I need to go. I need to see it all, confront it head on. The thought terrified me, but it was exhilarating too. How much longer could I run? I made my way along the pond, my pulse quickening at the thought of those footprints leading me deeper into the woods. But something felt different now. I was being drawn towards them, not in fear this time, but with a yearning to understand. The trees towered over me, shadows shifted and danced. They felt less like predators now, and more like guardians, holding secrets I had yet to unwrap. I walked a little further, breathing in the fresh earth and the vibrant green that surrounded me. "What will I find?" I murmured to myself. "Will I find peace?" But as I ventured deeper, I realized some questions might never have solid answers. The knowledge I uncovered could forever change me. The compass pulsed rhythmically in my pocket, guiding me toward vague truths not easily discerned. I approached the heart of the woods, my emotions a tangled mess. Shadows writhed in unexpected places, hints of whispers promising enlightenment alongside the ever-present fear, a symbiosis I had to embrace. Both parts of me felt equally dominant as I stepped forward, summoned by the mystery ahead. And in that moment, I understood. Life was a labyrinth of light and darkness. My journey wasn't over. It was only just beginning.
As the trees closed in around me, I took a deep breath and stepped into the unknown, ready to find my truth, wherever that might lead. I still think about what happened in that cabin and the thread that connects me to both the light and dark. It changed how I see things, both in the woods and within myself. I don't know if I'm running towards resolution or simply deeper into the enigma, but whatever it is, I'm ready for it.